1480 KCIM Sports presents KCIM Sports Rewind. A look back at the week in high school sports. Brought to you by St. Anthony Rehab Services. Here's Sports Director Jeff Blankman, John Ryan, and Jeff Honnold.
Well, let's make one correction. It is Sports Director Jeff Blankman. I'm John Ryan, and Mr. Vegas over here, Jeff Honnold, graces us with his presence today. I think that's...
Absolutely. Hey, I do have one question for you. I know you guys normally fly out of Omaha, so how was the flight out of Des Moines this time?
Well, I don't know. I made it out of Omaha.
They put GPS in phones, you know.
Is that the first time you've driven to the wrong airport?
Yes, it is. In case anybody doesn't know the backstory, you were going out to see Donnie and Marie.
Donnie Marie. My wife loves
awesome
Donnie
show.
Marie. Yeah, very, very good show. I was a little nervous. I didn't know if I could drink enough to go watch Donnie and Marie, but it was in a very small theater.
Now, is he a little bit rock and roll, and is she a little bit country?
They did that.
I've always wondered that.
Okay. Yeah, they did a little
all right.
She did, and I don't know my languages, but I know one was Italian, and I think one was French, but the French one she did, and they had a video screen up, and when she was younger, and she did a duet with herself.
Oh, cool.
Her soprano voice is incredible. Absolutely incredible. I like music, but I can appreciate something like that, and that was incredible. I didn't know a single word she said, and it still was just amazing. But
so that was the cool part of the trip. The Griswold portion of the trip was on you.
So I'm so used to flying Southwest out of Omaha. I booked the flight. I did it out of Des Moines. I have the app on my phone. I pre-checked in. I did everything I needed to do. I walked into Omaha. I put my credit card in the machine, and it wouldn't take it. Put my ID in there, it wouldn't take it. I punched in my confirmation number, wouldn't take it. And so the lady walks over, and she couldn't get in. She looks at my phone. She goes, "Sir, were you supposed to be out of Omaha or out of Des Moines?" Oh, no. So now my wife's panicking. She doesn't really care other than the fact that we have Donnie and Marie tickets that night. So we're going Donnie and Marie.
You got to get to Vegas somehow, some way.
They take me up to the ticket counter, and anybody that's been around me remembers a couple trips I flew ago that the guy lost my ID.
Right.
Well, guess who's my buddy taking care of me at the counter? Is the guy that lost my ID the last time I flew to Arizona. So I bit my lip, and the gal took care of us, and it cost us. We instead of flying out at 12:15, it was 12:30. We flew to. I had to take my hour medicine to Chicago. And then 4 hours back, but luckily I was in an A1 seating group, so I got the front. But that was
little traveling tip for everybody out there: double check your departure airport on that.
Yeah, so. My kids are going to check me in a little early. My wife said she will keep me at home as long as she can, but she thinks my mind is now officially gone.
Well, Lisa, just get a copy of every reservation you have from here on out.
Yes.
So, all right, so we got to actually talk about some sports here coming up. Over the weekend, we talked about Cody Case plays for the University of South Dakota. Had a terrific game in the opening game, 11 catches, setting a school record or tying a school record against Montana. Had a great game against Oklahoma as well.
Absolutely.
And they played the University of Oklahoma.
Yeah, they did. Went down to Norman. I know he sent out a Snapchat video on Friday of the team kind of walking around the facility and out on the field, ahead of Saturday's game, which was kind of cool. And, he made a special play during that game, one that I think he'll probably remember forever.
Well, here's the way it sounded on Sooner TV, because that's the only place you could catch it.
Yep.
I was going to pay for it because I thought it'd be like Cyclone TV. It's like $7-8 for a game.
Right.
$55 per game.
Oh, I believe it.
I'm like, I think I'm going to save my $55 on that one. But here is Cody making that great play in that ball game.
Simmons has time, goes for the touchdown pass. Is it caught? Touchdown, Coyotes, 23 yards.
Well, Cody Case has showed all night that he can play this game and he can run away from people. And that's a heck of a throw and a heck of a catch that time by Cody Case. Looks like I thought this might have been to the outside receiver, but Case coming from the inside out, almost like a flag route, is the only one who can catch the football. I thought this might have been overthrown to the outside receiver, but that is a good throw and a good strike that time from Austin Simmons.
I tell you, Cody Case, just a sophomore, is a very impressive young man out of Lake City, Iowa. Played only 4 games last year, started 2. They actually tried to come back, but the hamstring just got to him. And coaches are so excited to have him 100%.
And they were glad to have him back. And by the way, they did mention the flowing golden locks out of the back. Their words, not mine, out of the back of the helmet. So every time anybody talks about Carly, that comes up.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, that's, that's something that him and both his brother Kyler have as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's.
And then Brian's got the short hair.
I'd say Brian needs like a rat tail or something to kind of
No.
He could go with like a Billy Ray mullet and just let it grow long in the back.
I don't.
That would be sweet.
I'd almost pay to see that.
That would be
I'm
sweet.
almost wondering on his Hall of Fame sign up there in Marcus if maybe he doesn't have a mullet. I think he might, if I remember right. So
if you get to Marcus, take a picture of that. We'll use it.
But they unfortunately they lost 70-21. I think it was.
For the record, I was defending Brian Case. That was Jeff Blankman picking at him.
All right. You're on the record with that. Guess we better talk other sports are in the area. Swimming and what else we got?
Cross country. We'll start off with cross country. Just wanted to mention some kids that have been running really well early in the season. We haven't talked much about Tyler Putney from the Kemper Knights, along with Jack Hagan and Michael Potabom, have been really, really good for the Kemper boys so far. All three of them took top 10 finishes the other day at West Central Valley last week. Over on the girls' side of things, Grace Slater and Hannah Tygeson from Audubon have been running really, really well so far this year. And then for Coon Rapids Bayard, they had a really nice meet last night as well. Bryn Bass finished up in 6th. Colby Heidoff, who's run really, really well this year, took 2nd place for him. He's been routinely in the top 10 this year. And Quentin Dreyer running extremely well as well right now for the ICAM Manning Wolves. So we've got some cross-country kids really doing some special things here early in the season. And congrats goes out to Deb Dander and that Carroll girls swim team. They hosted Lewis Central in their opener last Thursday night. Lewis Central, generally one of the powers here in western Iowa, had a veteran ball club coming back this year. Carroll's still a young team this year, and the Tigers went out and handled them 92-78. So a really good win. Had dominating performances from a lot of their swimmers. Jenna Courier, Madison Moore, Malia Axman, Ashley Beagle, Mackenzie Campbell swam really, really well for them. So just a really good all-around performance, and I know Coach was really excited about the way things looked the other night.
Tell you what, Deb does a terrific job. I mean, there's no off-season for Deb Danner.
No, there isn't. No. She coaches the girls' team. She coaches the boys' team after the girls' season's over. So through the winter, she coaches boys, and then she coaches the summer league stuff and the spring league stuff. So realistically, she never gets probably a week away from the pool.
Yeah. So, ADs, we don't want to hear from you. You talk to Deb Danner about being
Absolutely.
busy.
But that, you know what? You look at her passion and her work with USA Swimming and stuff has helped to build this program even to a better level than what it was at in the past. And she's got a lot of great young swimmers coming into the program because of her work in the off-season.
She started years ago with that young kids program and built it.
Yep.
I remember my kids being in there with her. So, I mean, she's done a great job for a long time, and it's starting to show here with all these young kids coming through.
So, terrific start to the season for them. We're going to talk a little high school football and some volleyball coming up. You're listening to KCIM Sports Rewind.
As the athletes at your house... in the newly renovated sports performance facility. If an injury is keeping your athlete out of the game, call St. Anthony Rehabilitation Services at 794-5000 for sports injury and treatment rehab.
It is KCIM Sports Rewind. We're gathered together here, 9:30 every Tuesday morning. It's like a support group.
Yeah,
really. Somebody should tell Chelsea that we start at 9:30.
Who are we supporting? Because it isn't each other.
The one thing I'll notice, though, is when Jason's not here, she doesn't sit over there in the corner back there with the fan blowing on her. She stands away from the fan. So.
By the way, Jason, it is your fault that Chelsea is late this morning.
Yes,
so,
it is.
Yeah,
yes.
we will stand up for you there, Chelsea, on that one. But she's over there.
Dumping his work on her the way it sounded this morning.
It's funny because
right?
she tries to talk to us, realizing that you're the only one without a microphone here, so you don't get hurt at all.
Was he just surfing the net this morning?
Clay County Fair. There we go.
Okay.
All right, so you know what? Iowa State coming up this weekend, and we mentioned they're opening the gates at 5 a.m.
Yes.
5 a.m. for a 3 o'clock kickoff time.
I'd say that's hold my beer, but I don't think anybody's going to give a beer away.
I would think, you know what, you're going to see people pulling up with big old grills. I mean, it's going to be a big party.
Yeah.
If you're talking about grilling or smoking, the number one name you want to look to is Traeger Smokers.
Yeah, absolutely.
They have them at Carroll Lumber. They're available there. They've got locations in Wall Lake, Lakeview, and Odebolt. Traegers are the grill.
We could be the guest cookers over there.
Yeah, we could.
I don't think anybody wants that.
We don't want Blankman to cook.
That's more food for me.
Traegers are cool. All you got to do is fill the hopper with the wood pellets. I mean, you can control it digitally. The fan blows it into the grill. It just makes it super easy. So remember that phrase, if you're looking, you're not cooking.
It'd be hard for us to screw it up.
Yeah.
We still could.
If we could screw it up, if we couldn't screw it up, then nobody could.
Right.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, beef, chicken, pork, you can do it all with a Traeger grill. Great prices right now, too. So check out Carroll Lumber. The number one name in smokers you want to look for is Traeger Smokers. You put this in your tailgate, you're going to be a real popular guy, I guarantee it.
There's probably going to be a hog shortage after next week.
Could be the state of Iowa.
All the ribs gone.
Running short of Casey's Donuts and pigs. Let's talk a little football. Big matchup between two area teams, South Central Calhoun and Kemper. Turnovers. Sounds like the name of the game early, Jeff.
Yeah, South Central got the early interception from Josh Henkinius jumping a route, setting them up. Keegan Meyer then scored 3 plays later. Last year, South Central Calhoun turned Kemper over 5 times. This year, they got 4 turnovers and turned those into a lot of points. They would really jump up early in the game and kind of go on and dominate it and win it by a final of 30-6.
You know, when I watched them against East Sac County, the defense to me is so impressive. They have so much speed, but they have strength and size up front.
Yep.
They're just I don't know where you're going to score on them because you can't go over the top. You really can't go through them. It's a really, really good team.
You got good playmakers on the side of the South Central Calhoun Titans. Josh Henkinius is one guy that head coach Brian Case talked about after the ball game.
We really thought Josh was going to scoop and score on that one, but it all worked out the way way we wanted it to. But Josh had a heck of a ball game defensively as well. I mean, he ended up with 2 interceptions and the fumble recovery there. Just played lights out. He's one of those kids that plays on the offensive side of the ball as well at quarterback, and we really planned on playing him at quarterback again tonight. But Cole just did a great job for us on that side of the ball. So that's kind of what we did. We just left Josh on the defensive side of the ball and played pretty well.
That's head coach Brian Case once again of South Central Calhoun in an interview we had with him immediately after the ball game on the Friday Night Football Scoreboard show. So you can tune in there and hear all the coaches talk about their teams. But what a signature win early in the year for South Central Calhoun.
Yeah, I think it was one of those that it was going to be a test for both teams to kind of find out how good they are. I think for South Central Calhoun, we found out that they're as special probably as what we anticipated them being. For Kemper, probably found out maybe still a few things to do. I still think they're going to contend in that district along with Greene County and OABCIG, but found some things maybe that they need to work on before districts roll around.
Yeah, it shows you turnovers, penalties will kill you in a ball game, and Kemper found that out the hard way. Carroll Tigers, they pick up a thrilling win over Ballard, 17-14, coming off kind of a lopsided win against Grunwood. I don't know if you call it lopsided, I guess, but it was a good win by Glenwood. These guys are fast. They're gonna cause a lot of problems for some people, but Carroll needed to bounce back, and they did against Ballard.
Yeah, defense came out and played much better. We got a couple of fumbles early, a lot of 3 and outs in the game. And they were able to hold on and win another close game. Defense came up big late in the game as well, as Ballard had the ball inside Carroll territory in the final minutes of the game, but the defense made a stop, forced a turnover on downs, and then the offense able to run the clock out. Torrey Feldman's been pretty special for them in the passing game so far. Colby Vincent 5 touchdowns this year with just the 1 interception. 3 of those touchdown passes have gone to Torrey Feldman. He's a guy that can be a deep threat. You can go over the top with him, but he's also got that ability that if the defense is back off on him, you can throw the little short pass to him, and he can use that speed to be able to make plays and make guys miss. And then Luke Woosley's been a really good possession receiver for him early in the season as well.
Is this more representative of the time the games they're going to play against not as quick a teams as Glenwood?
I think so. Yeah. I think so. Absolutely. It'll be interesting this week. They go down to Harlan. That's become such a rivalry in the last decade. Carroll's almost controlled Harlan down at Harlan. That's where they seem to have their most success. So both teams in that game coming in 1-1.
Harlan coming off a lopsided loss.
They got blown out by by Sergeant Bluff Luton, who is a team with a lot of speed. So Harlan's really predicated on their quarterback this year doing most of the work for them. So if the Tigers can get some pressure, keep him in the pocket, should have a really good chance to come away with another win.
17-14, Carroll Tigers win that one. Let's talk about the champion of Mills County, Iowa, the Audubon Wheelers. They knock off East Mills in the first game of the year, and Fremont Mills this last Friday night. Impressive score, 26-0.
Yeah, dominated that game and dominated it up front. Coach Burks, you could just hear in his interview on the New Way Forward Scoreboard show the excitement and just the happiness that he had for his kids following that game.
And here is that comment.
We scouted them really well, so we were prepared, but it doesn't happen. How prepared you are if you don't go execute on Friday nights. And our guys were physical. Our 3 senior D linemen, I think they were a big difference tonight. For as big as Fremont Mills is, I still think we were the more physical team. It freed up our guys to fly to the ball. It's just a real team effort. Whether it was Luke Mazinski had a couple crushing hits. Jackson Jensen had an interception. Kevin Smith had an interception. The Clucky boys were flying all over. Tanner Peterson and Eric Hermanson just working their butt off in the trenches, doing a lot of those unsexy things, just doing what they got to do. Just the grit and determination. You could just see the joy on the guys' faces after the game because they knew they earned it tonight.
Head coach Sean Burks of the Audubon Wheelers will pick up another win over a Mills County team, Fremont Mills, 26-0.
And Fremont Mills has a kid being recruited by Iowa State, Nebraska, and a bunch of Division I schools, and they were completely able to shut him down in that game. So dominant performance, really good bounce back after a tough loss the week before in the closing seconds against Remsen St. Mary's.
So you talk about a bounce back win. Coon Rapids Baird over Newell Fonda last year, a heartbreaker for CRB at Newell Fonda. This year, Coon Rapids Baird was having none of it.
Yeah, another dominating performance. The thing that's really interesting with this Coon team this year is they're so big up front. They got like 280, 300 up front and stuff, and then like 240, 245. So they're going to just squash a lot of teams that they play. It's Jeffrey Eagle was picking up 5 yards before anybody was close to him the other night in that game as the running back, and so they jumped out early in that game. And then defensively, like this week they're going to face a Woodbine team that's going to come out and throw. They've got a lot of athletes. So they could go with maybe 2 down linemen, put 6 guys out in the defensively out there in the secondary to be able to contain that pass game.
This is one of those teams we talked earlier in the year that if they're young, if they get on a roll, they can be really dangerous. It sounds like they might be getting on a roll.
Yeah, 29-7 is almost a little misrepresentative of how dominant CRB was.
Absolutely. Coach talks about here on the New Way Forward Scoreboard show about how dominant that defense played.
Joined right now by Coon Rapids Baird head coach Chris Moore. Chris, huge win tonight for your Coon Rapids.
Wrong Baird cut there, so chalk that one up on me. E1 going on there. We should have had Chris on that one, but
he talked about what he talked about, folks, was the defensive game plan that his coaches put together and how well his guys executed it, and then talked about the fact that the Newell Fonda's one score came late.
Here it is.
I give credit to Coach Stephen, Coach Jay Moore, my assistants. They kind of run the defense. Coach Stevens spearheads that. Just had the kids ready to go tonight and had a great game plan. And we shut them down. Gave up a late score there. With in the fourth quarter with 4:50 left. I think we were on maybe the 20-yard line and elected to go for it on 4th and 1, just kicking it away to them and gave them a short field to be able to punch that in. Otherwise, the kids should have had a goose egg on the board.
I'm Deb.
And so that's the way that one went with Coon Rapids Baird, 29-7 over Newell Fonda. That's a good
big win. Yeah, Jeffrey Eagle, 29 carries, 266 yards, and 3 touchdowns. You beat a team that's known as the physical team, and you out-physical them. That says something about you.
It's still a Newell Fonda program. They know how to play football.
Yeah. Don't tell me everybody else in the district didn't notice that score.
Absolutely.
Maybe more than anything else.
Yeah.
IKM Manning, boy, they go down to Underwood. That's a tough one for them.
It is. Couldn't get the running game going. A little bit banged up. Colton Brandt out, who I don't know for how long. They had to move Kyler Rasmussen into the fullback position to replace him. That opens up their passing game a little bit more. Nolan Ramsey didn't play too bad at quarterback that night, but couldn't get Amos Rasmussen going in the run game. I thought Underwood did a really good job of taking away that outside run with him. And then on kickoffs, they just squib kicked all the time and didn't kick it to him and let him touch the ball, so didn't get a chance to get him going. And then defensively, they would play well at times, and then Underwood would just get over the top and had a few long touchdown passes. A couple of muffed punts and fumbles on punts where they had stopped Underwood, allowed Underwood to keep the drives going, and those hurt as well. So a 42-0 loss. This is a young Wolves team that's got a little ways to go.
A little overmatched.
Yep. Underwood really big, and IK Manning not so big.
Glidden Ralston and River Valley, a little bit of a shootout here. 36-26, the final on Friday night. Glidden Ralston comes out on top.
And the Wildcats showed a lot in the fact that they got down 20-0 in the first quarter and came back. Coach Lynch talked in the New Wave Ford Scoreboard show about the fact that they just weren't doing what they were told all week long in practice. So midway through the first quarter, after getting down 20-0, they just told the guys, we've went over all of this in practice. Do what you're supposed to do. And when they started doing that, things got going for them. And they got a big play on a running play from Grant Fleece to get the momentum swung back their way, and then had it tied up by the end of the first quarter, first half, and had a lead at halftime. And the game really wasn't as close as the final score. Gave up a late touchdown. So they gave up 20 in the first quarter, then gave up a touchdown in the closing moments of the game. Otherwise, really dominated the rest of the game.
Tell you what, that is rare.
Yes.
You get down that much that early and have your kids be able to turn it around in the middle of the first half?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just kind of crazy. And, you know, Coach talked about, too, that a long bus ride. He said he could kind of tell when he was walking through the group during warm-ups, they were a little bit flat. They just had to get that energy level turned on, and they were able to do that.
Well, it wasn't like it was a Honnold trip to Vegas long, but, you know.
It was long.
Extra 4 hours.
Yeah. A couple hours on a trip, no big deal.
I couldn't resist that
That's
one.
all right. No, it's good.
East Sac County, boy, the injuries really starting to rack up for the Raiders.
Yeah, lost a few more players to injury in their game the other night against OABCIG, who's a really explosive team. They did a great job of containing the DeJean kid in the run game, but he had, I think it was like 6 touchdown passes against him. They had 8 overall that night, did OABCIG. Just not able to get pressure on him. They did contain him. But turnovers, again, that game was really fairly tight, almost at halftime. And then if I remember right, OABCIG scored 18 points in the final, maybe like 3 minutes of the first half to kind of blow that game open. And then it just turned into a kind of a track meet for them in the second half.
The sad part about this, these kids took their lumps as freshmen and sophomores.
Yeah.
Really did turn it around last year, had a good year going, and now the senior year where it should be payoff time and injuries.
Yeah.
Really,
they were going to
really
be a
taking their
district
toll.
contender coming into the year. Not saying that they still can't be, but the injury's certainly going to hinder that because they don't have a lot of numbers.
Yeah, now you're down to the point of the season where you're you know, another loss, and it's going to be very, very tough.
Absolutely.
Arweva, boy, they take a licking from Woodbine. Woodbine, an outstanding team, 79-16. The Rockets, again, that youth. Just like a couple of years ago, you're taking your poundings now, but boy, you got to expect it to pay off later on.
Yeah, they've got some great young athletes, but Woodbine's got a bunch of veteran athletes and great skill guys. The Pryor boys are terrific. I'm really intrigued by that matchup with Coon this weekend because Coon's going to be the much bigger team. I think Woodbine might be the more athletic team on the outside, so it'll be interesting. We could have Coon could just physically dominate them down the field, and then Woodbine might be able to throw it all over. This might be a 75-73 type of a game.
Well, I think this is the Woodbine team that everybody kind of thought last year was going to come out. They were, they had the talent, they had the size, they just couldn't put together. Arweva kind of handled them. Coon kind of handled them, and now all of a sudden another year under their belt. And
won 6 in a row, I think, from last year into this year. Woodbine has.
Yeah.
So
that's one of the great matchups coming up this Friday night is Woodbine at Coon Rapids Bayard. How about this one? We took a quick peek ahead here real quick while we have a moment. Carroll at Harlan, always a great matchup.
Yeah.
Carroll, as you mentioned, Jeff, has a little success down in Harlan, a little track record there, but Glenwood coming to town to take on the Kemper Knights.
Yeah.
Another tough assignment for the Knights.
Very tough.
Yeah,
they're going to look at that Carroll
that
High
speed.
game film and realize they have to control the outside.
Yeah, they're going to Kemper's going to have to match up with that speed, and they're going to have to get pressure. Glenwood's going to throw a lot of quick passes. That's going to be the problem. They're going to have to take away those quick slants and hope they don't get beat over the top.
They're going to try to hope that Blaze Gunnarsson doesn't get off the line of scrimmage before they're getting the pass off.
Yep.
All right, so that's coming up this Friday night. We're going to talk a little volleyball coming up next on KCIM Sports Rewind.
St. Anthony Rehabilitation Services at 794-5000 for sports injury and treatment rehab.
I'm Deb, and I am the Director of Mental Health Services here at St. Anthony Regional Hospital. Some of the signs to look for in a person who might be suicidal, it can be as subtle as you'd be better off without me. A lot of times they'll maybe be stockpiling medications or attempting to buy firearms, getting their affairs in order. And a lot of times they could be increasing their alcohol consumption. Our crisis line here at St. Anthony, and that's 1-800-562-6060. And the National Suicide Prevention Hotline is 800-273-TALK. Always look to the cross, always St. Anthony.
KCIM Sports Rewind. We wrapped up the high school football week. Don't forget, New Way Ford Scoreboard Show coming up on Friday night from 10 to midnight with your host,
me,
Mr. Vegas, coming back.
It's that part is people like listening to Nathan, but they're going to have to listen to me again.
Okay, Jeff is hosting this week. We just need to remind him it's here in the KCIM studios, not somewhere else.
Yes.
I might be down in the KKRL studio. You never know.
Yeah, he'd be down there going, why am I not being heard?
Why can't I find this?
I'm afraid he'd drive to some other town.
It's Carroll Broadcasting. Carroll.
Yeah.
If Bennett Blake, if you run to see Bennett Blake, you're in the wrong town.
Yes.
So
if I see Bennett Blake, we're in trouble.
Our friend from Harlan, KSOM down there. So let's talk a little volleyball. How was the week in volleyball?
Pretty good week. We'll start off with the Saturday tournament. South Central Calhoun hosted a tournament over the weekend, had 3 area teams up there with ICAM, Manning, and Audubon. South Central looked really good going 6-0 on the day to bring home the championship. Audubon and ICAM Manning struggled a little bit. Both went 2-4 on the day. Audubon did knock off ICAM Manning in the opener, so 2 teams out of the same conference that'll see each other a couple of more times this year. But I thought South Central played really well, starting to pass the ball very well. Riley Bada and Emma McKinney dominant up front for them. Haley Stodder's been playing well for them as well. East Sac County had a really good tournament as well. Them and Arweva went over the Ridgeview tournament. East Sac lost to OABCIG in the pool play, but then ended up getting a rematch against them in the championship match. Picked up the win. They went 4-1 on the day to bring home first place. Arweva, a young team, kind of still figuring things out. Had to play without a couple of starters on Saturday because they had other things going on. They went 0-3 on the day. And then Coon Rapids Bayard looked really, really sharp early on. I saw their match with AHST Avoca Walnut, who's usually kind of a really good program out of the WIC, and they dominated that match. The score's not even as close as what it indicated, but they went 2-0 on the day. Looked really, really good. That's going to be a good team this year. They're passing the ball extremely well. Peyton Churdan went 1-2. The thing that I noticed with Peyton Churdan in the matches of theirs I saw is when they pass the ball really, or when they serve the ball really well, they're tough, and they've got about 5 really good servers. When they don't serve it really well, they tend to struggle a little bit. So they're going to have to get a little bit better passing the ball. Danielle Hoyle is just going to be a tear for teams to have to deal with. She was blocking a lot, swinging with a lot more confidence and authority out of the front and the back row, and even making really good decisions on when to tip and when to push to corner. So she had a really, really good tournament on Saturday.
Let's talk about, actually, Carroll Tigers and South Central met up last Tuesday?
Tuesday, yeah.
I tell you, the biggest surprise is probably the Bata girl. I mean, she's
going to be special.
She's really good.
Yeah.
She's really good, but really good matchup. Both teams passed pretty well all night long.
Yep.
Both teams struggle a little bit when they don't get the pass up to the setter. We call it out of system. Both teams struggle a little bit, I thought, out of system where they were trying to score. But both teams look really good and really kind of a fun battle.
Yeah, absolutely. South Central won the first one, had to come back to do it, jumped up big in the second set. Carroll then kind of slowly worked their way back into that one and won it. And then the third set was a 26-24 Carroll win. So really good, exciting volleyball that night.
Also, that was the same night Red Oak and Kemper got together.
That was Thursday night, was the Red Oak Kemper matchup. Yeah. So, but what a win for Kemper. 3-2 over a very good Red Oak ball club.
Red Oak's fast.
The Red Oak's fast, and they dig everything. I thought interesting comment from Coach Stickrod Saturday morning on the MC Country Cafe Coaches Show was he literally said there was one time where Kara Peter went up and literally thumped it, not tip, not push, but went up and swung hard 6 straight sets on the same play, and every time Red Oak dug it, and he looked over at his own bench with a smile on his face, and he goes, that's how we need to play.
Yeah.
No matter what Kemper threw at him, Red Oak seemed to have an answer that night as far as getting the ball in the air. But Kara Peter, just too much of her. 29 kills on the night, played really, really well. Ashlyn Bading served an ace for the game and match winner in that fifth set where they were able to pull out a 15-13 victory.
Any other highlights before we move on to...
I want to mention Glidden Ralston as well on Thursday night. They went down to West Central Valley, played really, really well. 3 dominant wins, 25-12, 25-15, and 25-10. So maybe got some early season jitters out of the way against Greene County and Collins Maxwell last Tuesday at Jefferson. Came back against West Central Valley a week later and looked really, really sharp the way it sounds.
All right, so you got more volleyball coming up this Thursday night, correct?
Thursday night, yep. We'll have a double header. I've got Peyton Jourdan and Arweeva over at Westside, and Jeff, you've got Alta Aurelia at South Central Calhoun up in Lake City.
That's good to know. And I'll be at Carroll High taking pictures tonight, Carroll High and Boone.
Yep.
So we'll get that set out to Viewfinder 22.
And I think Jeff Storyhan might be over at the Glidden matchup tonight, and I'll be over there as well. Caminita against Glidden Ralston tonight over at Glidden.
All right, one more note here. Tiger Booster Club let us know their Tiger Open golf tournament is coming up. It's a 4-person, 18-hole best shot. That's this Sunday. Good planning. Didn't stay away from Saturday in the college football, the Cyhawk thing. That is a shotgun start at 1 o'clock. You can just call the Muni to get your appointment there. You get your team signed up, 792-9190. The entry fee, $35 per person, includes golf, meal, flag prizes, and, of course, a gift as well. So, once again, if you just want the meal only, you want to stop out for that, that's about $9.50 and served at $5.30. So, Tiger Open coming up this Sunday.
They do a good
Carroll
job
Muni.
making sure everybody gets something on that. So, yeah, you get a little something for going.
How about the Tiger Booster Club there? And that's KCIM Sports Rewind for this week. Check out the podcast available online for you at 1380kcim.com. And, of course, our video live stream with Chelsea, who, once again, Jason, even though you messed up, Chelsea made it here and did a fantastic job. So, just thought we'd mention that. Carried MVP of KCIM Sports Rewind this week.
That's when you need to know.